boom, boom, boom on my keyboard. My computer's going so slow.
Finallyfast.com, Will.
Huh?
Finallyfast.com.
What's that?
Makes your computer faster. No, it
Is that like the website that lets you download RAM to your computer?
Obviously. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the 136th episode of the Pokemon Podcast. My name is SBJ, and with me today I have the ever delightful Will.
That's me. I feel like a million mysterious minds are controlling every action and move that I take. And that's why I've ended up in this place I have ended up in my life. Left, up, left, A.
And that delightful laugh you hear there is the bearing of the Helix fossil, Mr. Travis.
Yeah, I've been, from being sick and then having to write papers and things, I've been off of the show for a while and I haven't really been able to even listen to it. But just based on Twitter, I'm guessing that if I just said peanut butter bidoof, that'd get a good response.
Boom.
So there's that. I don't know what it means. Ooh. But there it is. I'm guessing healthy living still a thing?
Nope.
Fill me in.
Fried chicken and French fries is a thing.
Oh, is that the new diet?
That's the new style here. I want to give a shout out to all our Twitter followers who captured Bidoofs, named them peanut butter, and then tweeted at us. We had at least a handful, I want to say 6 or 7 of you guys that went out of your way. One of you guys, and I'm sorry I don't have your name in front of me, caught a shiny Bidoof and named it peanut butter. All I'm saying.
Well, I would like to give an unshout out to all the people who did not take a dab of peanut butter and carve a Bidoof out of it like I asked.
No one did that. No one did that. That is true. Before we dive into the show, Travis, how are you been? How's your Pokemans?
I'm good. Pokemans have been really pokey well.
Are you still training / heading to the video game championships this summer?
Yeah, I'm still ironing out my team. I'm starting to do breeding for it, though.
Do we have a sneak peek of said Pokemon on your team?
It's like Crocodile, Washrotom, Mega Sizor's in there, Mr. Mime is in there. It's a fun crew.
Oh, Mega Sizor.
Yeah.
I thought Kangaskhan was the thing. Mega Kangaskhan. Not
It's
even Mega, just regular Kangaskhan is the thing, right?
So Mega Kangaskhan is very good, but it's way better in singles than it is in doubles. The main reason is that it doesn't hit twice in spread moves, like Rock Slide, Earthquake.
I feel you.
So, well, it would in singles, but when it's in doubles or triples and it's a spread, it doesn't. Its ability, Parental Bond, doesn't activate, so it's not quite as good. You can still do like Stone Edge or Rock Tomb or that sort of thing for your rock move, but your Rock Slide is not going to be boosted by Parental Bond, so it's sort of a wash.
That's an interesting choice. Obviously, Pokemon definitely thought about that.
Yeah.
Will, how is your berry farming? Are you still waking up every morning to farm?
No, I've switched over to National Pokédex completion, so I've let the berries kind of go fallow for a bit while I very painstakingly select Pokemon from from White 2 and move them through the transporter to the Pokemon Bank down to my copy of Pokemon Y, and then figure out which ones I need to breed so that I can get a full National Pokédex. And then I sit there and cry because I look at Manaphy and know that I will probably never own a Manaphy.
I can get you one.
Huh?
I could get you one.
A real one?
I mean, I got it from a trade back in Gen 4, so if the person said it was legitimate, I think
Isn't there
that's
like a
legitimate enough for
website
you,
you can use to check them?
you could do PokeCheck, yeah. I could do that.
Check it out. I don't have one, Will. I don't have much. I have a Genesect. That's good, right?
No. The thing
Like
is,
Jenna suck.
it's gonna suck. That's right. I might be able to get a mana fee if I buy a completely sealed copy of Pokemon Ranger, the first game, because in the sequel games it was done as an event during a certain time periods, and you had to like internet check to see if the event was available. But I think in the first game, if you just type in a code, it unlocks the mission to get you the mana fee egg. So I'm going to see if I can maybe do that. I don't know.
Are you just filling the Pokedex, or do you want that Pokemon in your box for completion, or you just want?
I want to own one.
Okay, got it. I would be the same way. I wouldn't want to just trade back.
And yeah, my problem is not only do I want to own one, but I don't trust anybody. I don't trust you people not to be Pokegening things and like throwing me a hacked Pokemon and be like, I got Will to take a hacked Pokemon. Ugh.
See what I did there? I was going to say that the last Pokemon thing I was really doing was Bank, and then I stopped because I started playing Bravely Default, which I feel like most of Twitter is playing. But the reason I brought that up is because we didn't get Travis's opinions about Pokemon Bank, whether you used it or not.
I haven't used it yet.
Oh, no!
Whoops.
I've
heard that people like it and that other people don't like it.
Yeah, Will and I were pretty harsh on it last week, last week. We were pretty harsh, but I mean, it does its job. It's there. I think Will and I are two of the very few people in the world that will probably use it past the 30 days.
Yeah.
I wonder how like for the people who were disappointed by it, or at least disappointed by the functionality of it, I wonder how much better that response would have been if it would have come out on the day it was announced to come out.
Oh no, I think Steve would have still found something wrong with it.
Yeah.
It's kind of his way of operating there.
Sure.
Yeah, if it was good, we wouldn't have much to talk about.
Yeah.
I think I would still have the same reserves about it that I do. I think Twitter would be more accepting of it, but frankly, all the people that were complaining on Twitter shut up pretty much instantly, and they didn't really complain about the functionality of it, which I was expecting. It was pretty much kind of like all right, it's here, we're all going to shut up and use it and probably never talk about it again kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's better than seeing more and more complaints come through. Because really, if you want complaints, you listen to It's Super Effective.
Yeah.
We got them here.
It's super complainy.
We might get all of our Pokemon pronunciation names wrong, but at least we complain.
At least we complain. And somehow we encourage you guys to catch useless Pokemon and name them ridiculous things.
It's all part of a master plan.
Speaking of master plans, we're going to move into our news.
Oh, I thought you were going to move into that Oasis song, The Master Plan.
Oasis.
Was there a song? What I thought they only had Wonderwall.
Yeah, I thought it was just Wonderwall. Will, can you sing us some Wonderwall?
2 days gonna be the day something blah blah blah. I was not a big Oasis fan.
It was
By now, you should have somehow realized what you're not to do.
God, that makes me so sad. I was in college when Oasis was big, and you guys were in diapers.
Well, you were our Wonderwall.
Oh. I must prefer there's actually a band called Travis, and they have a sort of a response song to Wonderwall, which is a much better song. And Travis is a very good band.
Firewall?
No.
It's a missed opportunity there.
It really is. Hey, some exciting news that happened a couple days ago. Nintendo had this thing called a Nintendo Direct. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's directed for us directly.
That's where they get really, really handsome guys from Nintendo of America to present games for the Wii U.
That's when we all get super excited to see Reggie, and there is no Reggie in the last Nintendo Direct, which is probably why Travis didn't watch it.
I just knew something was off.
You knew that your body wasn't ready to see that one.
I was in class at the time, and then I just never got back to watching it. Something about Pokemon happened?
Yeah, something Pokemon did happen. And fun fact, I always watch Nintendo Directs twice. I always watch it on my computer, and then I watch it when I get home on my couch on the Wii U, which lags like crazy.
Wait, I was just going to say, your couch plays videos?
Yes. When I sit on it, it just pops up with stuff like Pokemon Battle Trozei. Trozei? Trozei.
Trozei!
Trozei. This is the sequel to, was it a Game Boy Advance game?
I thought it was a DS game.
Yeah.
Oh, then I just dropped the ball.
I think it's DS.
Just dropped the ball. Yeah, it's a sequel to a DS game, and it is a puzzle game. And the closest puzzle game that most people would probably know that it's similar to would be Candy Crush. Or if you're a little bit older than 14 years old, you would know that it would be similar to Bejeweled.
Bedoofled?
Bedoofled?
Good one.
Oh.
So in Pokemon Battle Trozei, you must match the same Pokemon form among all the Pokemon. All 718 are in this game. And you must match them on the lower screen, and then stuff will happen on the top screen, aka like you can catch wild Pokemon or battle Pokemon. So you need to line up at least 3 Pokemon in a row to clear that Pokemon from the box. That will send out an attack to reduce HP of a wild Pokemon, and then when the HP reaches 0, you will be able to catch that Pokemon, or as they say, Trozei that Pokemon.
Do they really say that?
I'm on Pokemon.com, not making this up.
What does Trozei mean?
I'm not sure. But I can tell you it comes out March 20th.
The verb to Trozei.
What happens to Trozei? I mean, nothing. The first Google search for Trozei is Pokemon Trozei. And you are right, it was released on the Nintendo DS on March 6, 2006 in the United States.
So there you have it. That was really 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Hey, Nintendo Power gave it an 8.5, and Game Informer gave it an 8.25.
And Game Informer said it was both charming and challenging. So,
are you too excited for this? Are you guys puzzle fans? Because I'll put it out there. I love me some Tetris variants.
Well, but this isn't a Tetris variant. This is a Bejeweled variant.
Well, Bejeweled is like a variant. Everything is a variant.
I'm going to stop you there, Steve. I mean, at the point where they both have, like, small pieces, it's like, I mean, like, Scrabble is not
and it's played on a grid.
Everything in the world is a Tetris variant.
I think I'll be getting the new Trozei. I didn't play the original, but it's one that I've always wanted to play, because I do like puzzle games, but I never ended up picking it up, so I think the new one will be a good way for me to be able to do that.
Will, are you going to Trozei?
I think I actually will be Trozeiing, yes.
It is multiple.
I did like that other game, which I keep talking about and I can never remember, a Puzzle Quest, where you like had battles by doing the Bejeweled part of it, and then so if it's similar to that, then I'll really like it.
Yeah.
So it's like a story and Bejeweled.
Did any of you play Pokemon Puzzle League, the first Pokemon puzzle game at all?
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Travis? Travis did.
Yeah, I'm not good, but I like it.
Yeah. It's a decent game. There was
it's cool.
It was a very heated Pokemon Puzzle League match at Midwest Gaming Classic a couple years ago.
You can play against somebody?
I wonder how many times we can tell that story on this show.
Yeah, I mean, Will, you've never heard that story?
I don't think so.
Oh, it was just like, yeah, you can play 2 players on the Nintendo 64. It's just like Tetris Attack, where when you complete a line, it sends like bricks down on theirs. So they got to work to clear those bricks. Otherwise, of course, when it gets to the top of the screen, you lose, like Tetris variant. And this guy like came into the room at Midwest Gaming Classic. It was like the first day we had it set up, and he was like, "I'm the best Puzzle League player ever, and I've never been defeated." And Aaron was like, "Oh, Steve's really good at it. I bet you can't beat Steve." And then we played, and we like formed a huge crowd around me and this dude I've never met, who is the world's greatest Pokemon Puzzle League player, or at least he said so. And I won by like literally a second difference in time, because we went back and forth. And he was like, "Oh, that was the first time I've ever lost," and then just walked right out. And so I'm very proud of my Pokemon puzzle skills, but I don't think they will provide me with a real world use.
No, man. In this time of the Olympics, it is split-second differences that make winners from losers.
That's right.
That guy is like the AZ of the Puzzle League world. It's like he just like wanders in. He's like 20 feet tall, and he's just like, "I would like to battle." He just says like nothing else. Fluet.
Oh man, that's incredible. What else do we have in news? Pokemon officially announced the mythical Pokemon Dancie, which I believe...
Dancie, maybe?
Dancie? Maybe. I just think of Beyonce, and then I think it rhymes with Beyonce.
Well, except that there's an I in there.
Yeah, but Beyonce has like a Y, so Beyonce, like, it has that good rhythm.
Not in the same place.
But
anyways, whatever.
I wouldn't know how else to say it, Will.
Dancie?
Yeah, that doesn't sound as cool. Maybe. It is a rock fairy Pokemon for our listeners, and it is appearing in the new Pokemon movie this summer in Japan, if I'm not mistaken. And it has the ability Clear Body, which Travis will tell us what that does.
It makes it so that you cannot take stat drops. Did you like how I just didn't even know that was Dancie's ability?
But you knew.
And just could pull Clear Body. That's because Metagross has the ability Clear Body. Metagross doesn't really have that good of a ability selection, so Clear Body was the one that you usually ended up going with over Light Metal, I think is the other one. Which, like, halves your weight, like Wowie.
Wowie. Wise words from Travis. Dancie was one of 3 Pokemon that the one dude reverse engineered, and I can't remember the other ones. It was that like Ghost Hoopla, yep, Hoopla, and Water Leviton dude.
The water, fire,
Volcanion.
water.
Volcanion.
Volcanion and Hoopa. Have we talked about those on the show before, or have we considered them spoilers and avoided doing so?
No, we did talk about them, I want to say 4 or 5 episodes ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we
just
talked...
Travis wanted to speed through them, so he ignored the fact that we were actually talking about them.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, that was when there was the Pokemon Plus and Minus information.
Yep.
Yeah, but stuff wasn't right, was it?
No, but like that news came out the same week or whatever.
Oh.
It didn't come out the same week, but Poke Beach finally featured it because we didn't want to talk about it too early, but then it was already on.
Oh, yeah.
Recapping here, that's what we do. So there was also some new Pokemon cards shown for our TCG listeners. It looks like the Pokemon Company is favoriting Charizard once again. The next set coming out, which I believe is in May, is called Wild Blaze. And it will have 2 different Charizard EXs. It will have a full art Lysandre.
Now look, I see what you're trying to do. You just like segued right into the TCG without giving me a minute to talk about my thoughts about Dancie. And I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to confuse me so you talk about the TCG for like an hour and a half about a thing I don't even play. But I'm going to talk about Dancie because I think Dancie's cool. I think it's cool that it has some relation to Carbink. That's interesting. I think its design is cool. I think the colors are cool. Okay, now you can talk about the Pocket Monsters trading card game, and I'll just fall asleep like I usually do.
Pocket Monster trading
The
card.
Pocket Monster. Where?
Well, you already got it wrong, because not only are there 2 Charizard EX, but there's 2 Mega Charizard
Oh, my
EX
fault.
as well.
I did drop the ball there. I did.
There's 1 Dragon and 1 Fire.
Yeah. They also have a Gudra card and a Gumi and a Sliggoo, obviously. But I just wanted to touch on that they have like these set of trainer cards, Sacred Ash, Flame Torch, and Blacksmith, because we all know the Blacksmith from Pokemon X and Y. They have these 3 cards that are designed to help pretty much a fire deck, and the only fire deck you would probably really want to build in this format would be Mega Charizard EX. Really, the only reason I'm talking about this is to point out that Pokemon Company loves Charizard, and they're pretty much dedicating a whole TCG set to it. So that's not cool at all.
Now, and we pretty much know that Charizard is one of the worst Pokemon ever.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, that's
Definitely one of the worst fire types, because it's not Cyndaquil.
it's cool that Charizard got only 2 Mega Evolutions, and Venusaur and Blastoids got left out with only 1. I mean, that's cool and all. And Charizard finally got its Dragon type. That's also cool. And it got a whole like anime series of 4 episodes dedicated to it. That's cool as well. But this TCG set is really crossing the line.
You right now, you sound like me when I go to my shrink and I'm like trying to justify other people's actions against me. It's like, yeah, my father never appreciated the fact that I was in school plays, and that's fine. And my father never, really supported my love of reading, and that's fine. Yeah, so
Charizard is your dad?
No, Charizard is your dad, Steve.
My dad.
I find it Chara's hard to handle all of this. Charizard.
So let me actually just say something slightly meaningful about these scans of new cards, is that the listener supporter is actually a replacement for Pokemon Catcher. And in a way that they don't have to do. So they ruined Pokemon Catcher by requiring you to flip a coin for it to work.
This is true.
And what Pokemon Catcher does is it lets you select one of your opponent's benched Pokemon and make it their active Pokemon, kind of forcing them to do that. So with Lysandre, you don't have to flip a coin, and you can force your opponent to switch one of their. You select one of their benched Pokemon to become their opponent's active Pokemon, but since it's a supporter, you can only play it once during your turn, and you can't play any other supporters. So you can't Juniper and Lysandre in the same turn.
That's right.
So it's just an interesting way to sort of take away the probability coin flip part of Pokemon Catcher while allowing you to not allowing it to be overpowered as it had been. Oh my God, Travis just fell over onto his keyboard.
Let me just save myself here. I mean, I may have made a loud sound by kneeing my table, which also caused a significant amount of pain. I'm going to save myself by pretending to know about the TCG. So do you think anyone is going to use Lysandre? Because I know the little I know about the TCG has told me that the most important part of the game is refreshing your hand and getting a new hand all over again, which supporters are usually the thing that do that. Is it worth sacrificing that ability to do this switching shenanigan?
I would, if somebody was playing a Lugia deck, I would see them running 1 or 2 of these cards. For our listeners, Lugia has an ability which is slipping my mind, but pretty much if it overflow, yep. So if Lugia knocks out a Pokemon in the card game, it gets 2 prizes instead of 1, and if it knocks out an EX, it gets 3 prizes instead of 2. So I can see somebody having 1 or 2 Lysandre cards, so that when Lugia is ready, they can catch her up what they need to do to win the game.
Yeah. And also for supporters, I think most people try to average around 12 supporters in their deck. So 4 of them are going to be either Juniper or Sycamore, which is that full hand refresh. 4 of them are going to be like N, I guess, if people continue playing N, or Colress, which is a hand refresher, or Shauna, which is a hand refresher, a little safer than N. And then the other 4... people will sometimes they'll do Skyla. Some people don't like Skyla, so they might do a Lysandre or something that's more of a utility supporter versus a hand refresher supporter. If that makes any knowledge.
Yeah,
knowledge has been created. That's what we're all about on this show.
It's true.
We're about creating meaning.
About creating a void that you guys can't get anywhere else.
There you go, a dark void.
Since we had, so we covered a bit of news for you. We felt here at Pokemon Podcast that we haven't talked enough about the video game. So what we're going to do is, when we come back from our break, we're going to dedicate a whole segment to the video game, and you guys are really going to like it. And then we're going to take another break and run down a couple of reviews that you guys left us, and we'll tackle Pokemon of the Week, and we'll wrap it up. But for now, listen to some sweet music, and we will be right back. And we are back from our break, and we forgot one bit of news, so we're going to tackle that real quick before we dive into our video game stuff. The Pokemon Music Super Collection Ruby and Sapphire was released this past week, and so for all of you Hoenn lovers that are still demanding a remake that you'll never get, you can download this music.
Hoenn confirmed.
How old are people that like Gen 3? Are they like just getting into high school?
No. I would say about 19, 20.
Yeah.
Really?
No,
yeah.
I think they're a little bit younger. So when I ran a Pokemon League about less than 6 months ago, some little kid was just talking my head off about Pokemon, and I was like, "What was your first Pokemon game?" And he was like, Ruby and Sapphire, and I was like, "Oh, you never played Red or Blue?" And he was like, "What's Red and Blue?" No clue that Pokemon.
And then you were like, #90s kid, Ren and Stimpy, those sodas with the little balls in them that they had in the 90s, Wonder Balls,
sticky things.
You gotta make a Facebook page about this.
Well, let's see. So, in all seriousness, Red and Blue got remade, and then they used the music from the remake, and then Gold and Silver got remade, and they used that music. But this music was not from a remade thing, and we'll obviously see that with Diamond and Pearl as well. I want to meet the generation of kids that started with Diamond and Pearl and see if they're complaining about a remake. Because, right? Don't they deserve one too?
Well, no, because you can play that on a 3DS.
That's what I'm saying. You can technically move Pokemon from Ruby and Sapphire to a 3DS.
Let's be
it takes a while.
Accurate here. It's Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, because some of us are Emerald players.
Was that your first game?
No.
No, we know.
Wait, let's not put the cart before the horse here. In doing so, in calling it, does that mean that when we're talking about the 5th generation, unless we're using the term the 5th generation, we have to say black, white, black 2, white 2, Pocket Monsters black version, Pocket Monsters white version, Pocket Monsters black 2 version, or no, Pocket Monsters black version 2, Pocket Monsters white version 2.
Gen 5,
yes.
The worst naming scheme. At least when in Gen 3 I can say Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. Gen 5, just what Travis just said was ridiculous.
I like to call it the Unova series.
I don't think
just 1,000 Crickettoons just.
You are
Except that is not the sound that they make. We all know that the sound they make is terrifying, and I will not try to recreate it.
All right, well, let's defend the Hoenn people just for a second. Their only justification for... I'm not defending them at this point. Give me a minute. The only justification why they feel a remake is deserved is because the first 2 games have gotten remade. And they think that there's all these hints in Gen 5 and Gen 6 that, oh, Hoenn's definitely coming because this trainer in an alley told me that he came from Hoenn. But just to point out, the only reason that Red and Blue and Gold and Silver got remade is because there was a hardware disconnect between the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance. And there was no way to get those Pokemon in the first 2 series onto a Game Boy Advance.
I wouldn't say that's the only reason a remake occurred.
Right. That was the main logical reason without speculation.
I just think that that we haven't hit the point of... I don't think there's enough Gen 3 nostalgia to warrant that. I think that's the main barrier, honestly. Like, if they thought they could make more money with it than releasing, like, the next game, I think they definitely would. I think, there's still a lot of people like me who have a lot of reservations about Generation 3 and don't particularly adore a lot of the things about that game. I don't think we're to the point where the people who really do like that game for a lot of valid reasons have gotten to the point where, they're like prime nostalgia age,
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if one day we get a Gen 3 remake, but to say that it's definitely coming is so frustrating because that's like saying Gray version was definitely coming.
Yeah.
Like that definitely did not happen.
How do you know? Maybe they're going to go back to Gen 5 and release another DS game.
Also, there was this pattern where it was like Red and Blue, Gold and Silver,
Crystal,
Ruby and Sapphire. I'm just doing the main series. And then they went back to Red and Blue, and then Diamond and Pearl, and then Gold and Silver. So it was like, oh, now they're doing this like alternating thing. Gen 5. They just threw us a curveball again for Gen 5. Okay, now we're getting Hoenn because Gold and Silver right before Gen 5, so we're definitely getting Gen 3 after Gen 5, and it was like, nope, we're getting Gen 6 right away. So it's like both patterns of like that people were banking off of for Hoenn got destroyed. There was no logic anymore. So now they're just grasping on the guy in the alley saying that he came from Hoenn, when Gen 6 definitely had references to every game.
Pretty much.
Didn't have references to Pokemon Trozei.
You're right. Or Pokemon Rumble. Yeah, so the music collection came out, and you can download it in iTunes. I think it's $10 like all the other ones were. So if you're still dying to play Gen 3, well, you can at least relive the music. And for the record, I would play Gen 3 if they remade it. Just putting that out there.
Oh, I would too, even though it's my least favorite.
I enjoyed
Absolutely
it.
least favorite.
It rained in that game. That was cool.
Well, because cast form was, I think, came out in that game.
So let's talk about some video games. More important.
Wait, can we do like one little tiny news before
we can.
For those of us who, like me, do enjoy playing with Smug on rules and tiering. Recently, they did a vote on whether the Lucario Knight item, so basically Mega Lucario, Genesect, and Deoxys speed form should be bumped up to Ubers because they were in overuse prior to that. And Lucario Knight and Genesect they bumped Genesect and Lucario and Mega Lucario up to Ubers. So that means we won't have to deal with having Mega Lucario in every round after we just thought we had solved that problem of seeing Mega Kangaskhan in every round. So hopefully there won't be some other Pokemon that takes that niche, although it's probably just going to be Mega Charizard now. But I mean, at least we're heading towards more of like a stable overused tier for those of us who like to play with those rules.
Well, yeah, that's kind of like the real balance problem I feel that Smogon has, and they do a really good job, of course, of trying to keep that balance. But it's like if you move out one Pokemon, that kind of makes room for a new one to fill that void.
Usually, at some point, you've sort of sussed out like what is. It takes a while, but at some point during the generation, they'll have sussed out like what Pokemon are legitimately like too strong or too just annoying to deal with, and bump those up. For example, Wash Rotom is consistently one of the most used Pokemon in the game, but there's hardly any argument that it's an overpowered Pokemon or that it doesn't belong in the tier because there are a lot of ways to deal with it. It just sort of has a lot of utility. And at some point, usually they find a way to make it so that even the most used Pokemon are things like Wash Rotom that aren't impossible to get around, but they are good. I mean, that's sort of the point of the overused tier.
Yeah, Smogon. They have a cool new logo.
Yeah, they do.
I really like their new art direction. All right, are we ready to talk about some video games?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So as we are recording this 5 days, 42 minutes, and 45 seconds ago, something called Twitch Plays Pokemon appeared on twitch.tv. And it has been a phenomenon. So big that currently 75,000 people are watching and participating. And it has shot over 7 million views on Twitch, making it the second highest video game streaming currently, I think, behind Hearthstone. For our listeners who don't know what this is watching somebody play the original Pokémon Red, actually. And most things on Twitch you're just watching. But this, you actually get to do some interaction. So in the comments, if you leave a comment of either left, right, up, down, A, B, or start, it controls your player, Red, on the screen. So you can actually play Pokemon in Twitch. The catch is that not only are you playing, but every other person in watching this video is playing. So you have, at this point, while we're recording, 75,000 people controlling one character.
Simultaneously.
At the same time.
This is the most ridiculous crap I've ever seen in my life.
Well, they've been going for
Have you not heard of the wisdom of the crowd, Will?
Yeah.
I'm not seeing the wisdom of the crowd in front of my eyes right now. They just walked into a dead end.
The power of mobs. So I actually heard about this on The Verge, which was when they were at day 2. They just defeated Misty when I was watching. And I had a lot of reservations. I was a lot like Will, this is stupid, blah, blah, blah. Why would I watch this? Why are people participating in this? And then I sat down and I watched it probably for like an hour. It was on in the background while I was doing some work. And it was kind of the point that they were at is they were at Bill, and they had to get into Bill's house, talk to Bill so he would go into the machine, do its thing, come out and I believe Bill gives you cut, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't played Red and Blue in a while, but I think my memory serves me correct. And it was so interesting and awesome to like see like this character fumble around and get into the house, talk to Bill, but not wait for Bill to come out of the machine and just leave. And then start making their way back down to Cerulean City without finishing the conversation to Bill. So it was like this internal struggle of like, no, guys, you need to go back up. You can do this. And that's when it hooked me, where I was like, man, this is actually really interesting. And at that point when I was watching, there was only, I think, 25,000 people controlling Red. And then I didn't watch it again, and then I came back the next day. I should say that night, and I was like, oh, they're on their way to Vermilion City. Like, that's cool. Except they managed to like move back up, and they were trying to get to the daycare. And if you guys remember the daycare, like you need to go you need to jump all these ledges, and then at one point, if you jump the last ledge, you have to start all over. And that was like an internal struggle. So then anytime like Red approached ledges, it was like, oh my god, if they move to the left just once, they're gonna have to start this whole part over again. And that's really what's been happening for the last 5 hours. And I know I've been talking for a while. You both have seen it. What are your thoughts?
Well, they're in the Team Rocket headquarters right now, right?
They have, yes, they've been in the Team Rocket headquarters for about the last 8 hours. And
it's got that puzzle, the tile puzzle, where if you walk on the arrows, it makes you spin and go bloop, bloop, bloop in one direction. Oh, my. Yeah. They're going to be here for all eternity. I don't understand, like, I mean, it's obvious where he needs to go. Why don't people just type that button? Why? Because the world is full of trolls.
Well, the main issue is there's a 40-second delay from when they type to when Red does the action.
Well, but the thing is, if you're watching the stream, there's 200 people typing up, and then one idiot types start.
Yeah, there's definitely more people that want to see Red succeed than there are for Red to fail, but there are people causing this challenge.
I'm pretty sure I just saw a penis light up in the chat. I mean, an ASCII penis, but a penis nonetheless.
Oh. What do you mean by light up?
Well, it's like took up the whole chat screen.
Oh, like a drawing of using characters.
Yeah.
I see. Travis, your thoughts on this?
I don't find it, like, exactly riveting to watch. I really like it as an experiment and, like, see how long it'll take, and I like the idea of this sort of all these people going on an endeavor that would be way easier with just one person. I think it's sort of funny, but I don't think I'll find myself watching it for very long. I like that it's sort of generating all these inside jokes, and I like that it's, getting people, making people love a thing that's related to Pokemon. I'm always for that, but I don't know. It's sort of painful for me to watch Red run in circles and hit start and sometimes release his Pokemon on accident.
Yeah, there's a couple. So the person who created this, I have an interview with them that we'll get to in a second, but they have remained anonymous, and they created this just for like a social experiment, and it wasn't very popular the first day and a half. So it is unsure of what really happened during that time. But since this gained so much traction, obviously over 7 million views, that there has been a subreddit created for it, and there has been a Google Docs form, as well as about 30 Twitter accounts related to this. None made by the original creator, of course, all made by fans. And the Google Docs. Oh, there's also a Bulbapedia page about this as well. That's how official this thing goes to. That's how deep the rabbit hole goes. The Google Docs is really awesome because it fills you in. It's like the TV guide for the soap opera you missed. You get all the info that you might have missed while you were sleeping. So it starts off with the current goal. So as we are recording, they are 5 days and 50 minutes in. And their current goal is to get the lift key, which has expressed frustration as they keep hitting these tiles and spinning in the wrong direction. They have no Pokédolls left, and they still need to get the Silphico scope. And they have had 4 badges: the Boulder badge, unknown; the Cascade badge they got at 1 day and 18 hours; the Thunder badge was 2 days, 11 hours. And they got the Rainbow badge exactly 24 hours ago, sitting at 4 days and 47 minutes. And they've seen 71 Pokemon so far, owning 12 of them. Very big accomplishment for this team of people who seem to hate each other and don't want Red to succeed. This Google Docs is so up to date that it keeps all its Pokemon recorded. So right now, our fellow Red has an Oddish at level 22, a Rattata at level 14 with the nickname Digrat, a Flareon at level 25, and they somehow named it False Prophet. We'll get to that. A Drowsy, the Ducks, the Farfetch that you can trade the Hiker for at some point in the game. I think it's Vermilion City, right? Not the Hiker, the rich dude.
I don't remember what type of NPC the person you trade for a Farfetch.
Oh,
yeah, I'm sorry.
I definitely do. Farfetch is sweet. And then finally they have their Pidgeot, which is at level 44, which is nicknamed Bird Jesus. It also goes in depth of what items they have. They have one Helix Fossil, which has probably had the most amount of jokes. They've tossed 3 Moonstones and 2 Nuggets. They just threw them away. They have some TMs and stuff left. So those are the 6 Pokemon that they currently have. They've had a Spearow, which they did trade for Ducks. They did that 2 days in. You're probably curious of what happened to the starter. Didn't they start with a Charmander, a Squirtle, or a Bulbasaur? They did. They started with a Charmander. They evolved it to Charmeleon. And at one point, the Charmeleon named ABBBBBBK parenthesis to the right, which was also nicknamed Abby for short, was at level 34, and the mob decided to put Abby into the PC. And then the mob decided to release Abby into the wild. Following the poor release of Abby, they released their Rattata nicknamed JLVWNNOOOOO, or the fans called him Jay Leno. They released Jay Leno right after Abby, 3 minutes afterwards, into the wild. That was very tragic for our adventurer Red. But yeah, pretty impressive. Pretty much the current Rattata, because they've somehow caught 2 Rattatas, learned pretty much most TMs. It knows Dig, Body Slam, and Thunderbolt. It is quite the popular Pokemon there. And they're still working their way in Team Rocket's base.
Same place I left them an hour ago.
Yeah, they're struggling. They did make it to the end, Will. They did make it to the end, but then somebody decided to use the escape rope. And they've had to start over since then.
Well, the thing is, I can see the item that they need to get. I can see it.
They're really struggling.
It's like they just won't move in that direction.
There's a couple time lapses on YouTube if you want to go back and see what they've did. They made it all the way through what is the cave connecting Cerulean to Lavender? I can't remember. It's right below the power plant. But the cave you need Flash in, they made it through that whole cave without needing Flash. They just did it dark. I think they died twice in the cave and had to redo it. And I want to see the replay of how they got through Lieutenant Surge's gym, because that's you have to hit the trash cans in order, and if you hit the wrong trash can, you have to start over again. So I have no clue how they did that. But
probably during a low usage time period. Now, where are they going now?
I don't know where they're going. They're going to the beginning again. And they did spend about 6 hours in Erica's gym to get the rainbow badge. More statistics for you guys, because I know you wanted to know. In the past 2 hours, the down button has been pressed 14%, the up button 12%, the A button 4%, the B button 13%, left and right both at 14%. Select at 2%, and the start button at 8%.
You said in some way they were penalized for hitting start. How does that work?
Yeah, the creator. So the creator had to disable the select button because people were using it to soft reset the game. So he disabled the select button, and then he realized people were pressing start to slow down Red. So he was giving people a 10-second penalty where you couldn't submit any commands for hitting start.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's changed much, but it's pretty crazy how they have these statistics up. But badatvideogames.net did an interview with this guy. They asked him who he was, or she is, He said, I want to keep my identity private. I'm not the kind of person who enjoys a lot of attention, although I will say I live in Australia.
So is the creator of Flappy Bird.
No, I think he's from Vietnam.
That's what he'd have you believe.
That's right. He's a self-taught programmer. He kind of explains how it works. He did this as a social experiment. This is a ROM hack of Pokemon Red that allows all 151 Pokemon to be caught legitimately, or at least legitimate for a ROM hack. And he wanted them to complete the Pokédex as much as possible. I don't know if that's doable since they only have 12 at this point after 5 days.
I wonder like once all the hype dies down and there are fewer people involved, if that would be a thing that eventually happened. You know what I'm saying? Like when it gets to like 100 people watching or that sort of thing.
Yeah. The crazy thing is, even if like you think this is stupid or this is a waste of time, this has like inspired other Twitch streams, like Twitch plays Tetris or Twitch plays Final Fantasy VI. Like all these Twitch plays have like appeared out of nowhere. So it's cool. Like it's dumb now. Well, not to me. I think it's amazing. But if it's dumb,
they're just looking at the Butterfree Pokedex effects.
But if it's dumb to you now, it's cool to like look back and it's like this has started it. Like it's cool to see that Pokemon started a trend on Twitch. So if anything,
well, and it's an interesting concept because it is if I have an infinite number of monkeys working on an infinite number of typewriters, eventually Hamlet will be produced. So I guess with all the monkeys playing the game right now, they will eventually get to the end, given an infinite amount of time.
So far, they've been going at one badge a day. So in the next 24 hours, they should have the next badge, whatever that is.
In the next 24 hours, they will still be doing this tile puzzle because they can't seem to manage to get up to the top of the screen.
No, they've already did it. They've already did it once. They just had an escape rope.
There's an item right over there, which they did.
No, they need to get.
So, Will, the strange thing is that their Oddish is actually nicknamed Rosencrantz.
Funny how that comes together, isn't it? So how did they get it so that the names weren't complete gibberish?
Oh, they are, if they're nicknamed, but the actual, nickname in the game is complete gibberish, but, like, they've given them informal nicknames.
Yeah, the two gibberish ones that ended up getting released, Abby and Jay Leno, they were named before the stream got really popular, so I think the creator said there was only about 100 people playing at that time. I know the current mob has been able to evolve Eevee into Flareon using a Firestone, which blew my mind. That no one was pressing B to stop that. And I do know they stopped Pidgeotto from evolving a couple times, but now it is a Pidgeot. The last thing the creator said in the interview is that he's really worried about the Safari Zone because he doesn't think that the mob can get to the end in the proper amount of steps. So if the Safari Zone becomes an issue, he will modify it so there's more steps for them to get to. I don't know if he'll have to modify this Team Rocket base because they're really struggling here.
Yeah, they are. Oh, it's painful to watch. And the item that they need is just right over there. Just left, up. Right. Come on.
So if this is still going on in about a week, which I think it will be, because if for those of you who are unfamiliar or need a refresher on Pokemon Red, the last stretch of getting to the Pokemon League is a whole ledge, and it's a very long ledge, and if you move to the left just a little bit, you have to start your whole journey to the door of the Pokemon League over again. So I think that will delay a lot. Also, I'm curious to see what happens when they get the Master Ball, because they can either toss it right away, which they've been doing with most items, or I can see them throwing it in a trainer battle, which would cause them to waste it.
Or finding a Golduck.
They could find a Golduck. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Throwing it at a Golduck.
What if we got all of the Pokemon podcast fans to prevent the Master Ball from getting tossed to save for a Golduck.
You know, even with the tremendous power of the Pokemon podcast, it's super effective, whatever you want to call it, fan base, it is still a small percentage of the number of people who are screwing up this stream right now.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. They've gone in a circle about 7 times since we've been talking about this.
They've gone upstairs and downstairs about 7 times.
They're really good at saving the game, though. They save the game more than I do. Which is,
I'm waiting for the ROM to become corrupted from too many saves.
Yeah.
They also like to look at themselves. They keep. Well, I guess it starts at red, doesn't it?
The ROM has to. I mean, if the ROM can handle like 70,000 inputs at once, I think it can handle saving the game a couple times. They're also really good at checking the Pokedex. They need to know that Wartortle still exists and that they've seen it.
No, not again.
They're going out. They're going out. Oh, they almost have it. They almost have it. Oh no, never mind.
No,
it's all downhill.
No, wrong. Up.
Yeah.
Well, forces them to go up.
Let's see. All right, so we'll take a quick break for you guys, and we'll come back with the end segment of our show. All right, and we are back from our break to bring you the final segment. Just for the record, while we are on break, Twitch Plays Pokemon is still in Team Rocket's headquarters, so no worries there, guys. You didn't miss anything. We've been doing this new segment on the show of running down our recent reviews in iTunes because it is a way for us to give shout-outs to you guys, and it is a way for us to feel better about ourselves, that you guys have nice things to say. So if you want a shout-out, please leave us a review in iTunes, and we will read it on air. I think we have 5 this week. There are some international reviews. We're not reading those this week because we want to try to keep it short, and we're slowing down here on reviews. So we're going to tackle international reviews next episode. I know there's a couple of you guys. Unless I'm just exaggerating that, and there could only be 0 of you guys. Where do we leave off, Will?
Oh, man. It actually looks like there have been quite a few new ones. Wait, the guy with the toes. So we did the toes.
The guy with the toes. That narrows it down a lot.
He eats with his feet. Okay, so
I see where we are.
A ... pretty all right show.
Yes, that is our first one. From Brodouche, all one word.
So you can pronounce that correctly.
I probably slaughtered his name. It's probably
Brodouche.
It's probably Brodouche. Yes, I think Travis was right there. He says, this is ... pretty all right show. 5 stars. Thank you, Brodouche. Moving on. By My Little Ponyta, I bequeath thee to my beloved son. Upon my passing, I bequeath to my Pokemon bank filled with all the Pokemon from the first 25 generations, with the hope that you will continue to add more Pokemon are released, as I am certain there are 75,000 now. I do this in my hopes none my prodigy will never endure the painstaking agony of completing a national Pokedex from scratch ever again. Sincerely, your loving father. P.S. You were conceived the moment that Togepi hatched from its egg. I think that's one of the most incredible reviews we've ever had.
It's quite intriguing.
Thank you, My Little Ponyta. This podcast rocks by Cool Joe 88. This is a really informative podcast that covers a wide range of news. Anything from general news, TCG, VGC, anime, and so on. This is the definite podcast for Pokemon info. Keep up the great work, guys.
Yay! Why, thank you, Cool Joe 88.
Keep up the great work, Travis.
Whee!
This review is by Asher 1669. super effective entertainment. That's a good. I like that. That could be like a.
It's like a gigantic compliment to you. Oh man, I like that.
That could be
What if
like.
you did?
That could be on a VHS player. That's all I'm saying. Some Betamax.
Laserdisc.
What does that even mean?
This is definitely one of my favorite podcasts. SBJ and the gang are great on their delivery of news, tips, and banter. They may not always get the pronunciations right, but heck, neither do I. I like the personalities these guys bring to the table. I enjoy when Will throws in a
Yeah.
and while I might not have a Bidoof named Peanut Butter, I do have a Centrit named Nutella, and that's just as good.
It certainly is.
I like that in all of these, Steve and Will get specified by name, but all I get is the gang.
I always look forward to the next episode. Keep up the good work, guys.
That's great work, dude.
I'm sorry. The great work.
Travis the Gang Wheeler.
I think you're in one of these upcoming reviews, Travis. Hold.
What? Yeah, it's a negative one, right?
I would only hope. Hold your pony, Tom. We're getting there. A critical hit by Fisher Chandler. I only discovered the show a few months ago when the Twitter for ISC followed me, and I have to say I'm so glad I started to. You guys make even the worst rush hour traffic pleasant. My run's humorous. That didn't make sense at first. My run's humorous and...
Well, it could mean that he's laughing as he has to go to the toilet.
And Tuesday... always humorous.
Tuesday is now my favorite... I can't finish this review. And Tuesday is now a favorite day of mine because I know there will be a new podcast. Thank you guys for making the most mundane tasks awesome. Also, thank you for the pronunciation of Darkrai.
It's Darkrai.
Darkrai. Yeah, Darkrai is amazing.
Still haven't seen it.
And I'm glad that we're hitting every Tuesday. I mean, we record the shows. Hopefully, we try to hit the shows on Sunday or Monday. But then we try to get them out by Tuesday night, so that ensures consistency because we usually always record on Mondays. It's just depending on the time. Like this would be a good example where it's too late to cut and edit because I am an old man. So we try to hit on Tuesdays, so I'm glad you guys are starting to see that, and I'm glad we're able to give you that consistency now. Next one is The Show is the Highlight of My Day by Cooters. Hey guys, thanks for doing this podcast. My brother and I listen to you guys while driving on long road trips. My parents always ask what we are listening to, and they always guess, is that silly Pokemon show? Cracks us up all the time. Continue the great work.
Please don't listen to us while your parents are also there. I don't want them to think poorly of me.
I don't think the implication is that the parents are listening as well.
I would imagine.
I think this is a headphone situation.
Yeah,
I hope so.
I think this is like either they're sharing headphones or they got a splitter. And if they got a splitter, let me just tell them that they are some serious Pokemon trainers. If they
if they have DNA splicers, let's slow down though. What if they don't, and they just have two iPods, and then they get in the car and they're driving to they're doing their road trip to visit Uncle Steve in Arizona, right? And they're driving along, and the one turns to the other, and the one brother are they brothers? Is that what it was?
Yeah. Oh,
the one brother's just like, it's time, and they whip out their iPods.
Your pause was a little long.
They whip out their iPod.
That would be if I was telling the story.
And then it's like a Mission Impossible synchronized watches thing. They're like in the same way that when we start the show, Steve is always like in 3, 2, 1, what's up? They're like in 3, 2, 1, play, and so it like mirrors the inside baseball of the show. It's like where Steve is like in 3, 2, 1, and then we start.
It's like we're there with them in the car, really.
That would be a little more terrifying.
A bit. All right, next one's a bit of a long one. And I do want to say that Wedgekun, that's also good. That's also good. Gave us a 4 out of 5, which is a great review. Anything that's not a 1. I mean, if you give us a 1, at least say it's because you hate Quick Claw. Gave us a 4 out of 5. Messaged me on Twitter afterwards, just giving me a follow-up to his review, saying he loves the show, but he had some suggestions for improvement. So this is mostly for Will, of course. No, I don't know. Okay, so first off, to give some context, I wanted to say that I was first subscribed during the lead-up to Pokemon X and Y's release. I like what they do with this podcast, but I would like to offer some constructive and respectful criticism. I like that. He didn't say I like that, I said that. The hosts have good rapport and do a good job of covering current Pokemon-related news. However, they often neglect to do basic research on their topics they present. They are also very light on competitive battling or mechanics information, or even at times present incorrect information, especially when talking about those on the video game side of things. Video game side of Pokemon. One of the hosts actually a professional Pokemon TCG player, so I think he's talking about you, Will.
That's the biggest. He's obviously making a humorous joke there.
So I think there's more expertise on the card side of things. Accuracy is something they need to improve on, because explaining complex and useful topics in Pokemon correctly in an easy to understand way is one of the main reasons I think people would want to listen to a Pokemon podcast. For now, though, they are the best Pokemon podcast I've seen in iTunes, but only because no one else has done a more competent one. I like that word, competent.
At least we're competent. I can deal with competent.
Yeah,
that's something I didn't know we were.
This review is glowing. If another podcast comes up in more detailed, in-depth, accurate information about Pokemon mechanics like breeding and battling, then they could quickly lose that title. No one ever says, I want to be the second best, like no one ever was.
Well, Wedgekun, may I recommend to you our friend Andrew's YouTube series? What is it called?
Pokemon Battle Arcade.
Battle Arcade, where he actually goes in depth explaining breeding and all that biz. Boy, there's so many things.
I think to be serious, I think he was talking about me being the TCG player is my assumption. For those of you maybe new listeners, I was very into the Pokemon trading card game in early 2013 and 2012. And I've recently stopped playing just because of new hobbies and whatnot, and the art show that I put on last year. But I was ranked number 6 or something in Wisconsin for quite a long time until I stopped playing, and I did top cut at a winter regionals or something like that. But I do know a lot about the TCG, and I both hate and love the TCG dearly. But I think to tackle your whole review, which is awesome, I appreciate the feedback. I think we all appreciate the feedback. Is we never really set out to be a super competitive show or to teach people about competitiveness. I think we dabbled in that in both the video game and the card game to see if people like that, and for the most part they did. But at the same time, it was, besides there are certain people like Travis and Kenny who are super into the video game, and Will and I were super into the card game, and we didn't want to break up the show into like, this is the video game show and this is the TCG show. We never wanted to do that. So we kind of took a step back and realized that we like all aspects of Pokemon, and no one really tackled that as what we did. So that's kind of why the show is silly and it's not serious. And if you're a long-time listener, really the only reason you're listening is because for some reason you like us and you don't care about news and stuff, but
or accuracy.
But there has been really good competitive shows. There was a podcast called the Meta Podcast.
Hello?
And the Meta Podcast, so there's like 4 different Meta Podcasts, but there was a Meta Podcast that was based off a YouTube series called the Meta Podcast, and they were 2 guys that were professional Smogon battlers, and they knew a ton of like in-depth, like more than Travis, more than Kenny. They knew it all, and they ran for about 4 or 5 months, and they were really awesome, especially if you cared about that side of Pokemon. And that's where I learned most of my Smogon information from. But there are podcasts that do that, but a lot of those podcasts don't last a long time. They don't last almost 4 years like our show is. And so that's probably why we lose and gain more listeners, is because we're always changing the show. So the next episode could be like super competitive heavy, and then the next show after that we could be watching a Pokemon movie going duh cry. So I think that's the cool thing about our show, is it offers a ton of variety, but at the same time that might not be something a competitive battler would be looking for, or somebody who is super into the card game, because we don't focus on one said topic. We try to get it all.
And usually when we do go a little more in depth into the video game side of things, it's usually when, Steve's out and about and I'm hosting things, and I'll definitely try next time to be a little more on top of things in terms of my the pre-production of the show, and making sure that I have the proper Bulbapedia tabs open and have a better starting frame for doing that, because I think that criticism is valid, that when we do get into the competitive side of things, sometimes there are mistakes, and that is a good point, that we don't want to be spreading false information.
Yeah, and I usually put Travis on the spot when he has to record, so that's my fault for usually not giving Travis enough time to prepare.
But I was going to say, the way I usually explain it to guys I'm trying to hook up with is that it's kind of like a Pokemon 101 course. It's a survey about all different things that can happen in Pokemon. It's not your in-depth, detailed metaphysical concepts of battling within Pokemon. This is just the one you take freshman year, and you decide whether you want to actually major in Pokemon or possibly look into some other activity for your college major.
Metaphysics of Pokemon, I would be all over that class.
Of course you would, because you like chairs.
Okay, the point of the chair thing is that I don't. Whatever, we can get into this later.
By Boberson Smith, great podcast. I have to start this review saying that Will saying is the most annoying thing ever. Okay.
Didn't somebody like 2 reviews ago say they love it when I say that?
we didn't plan that at all. Will just knows they hit the mark. Okay, either than that, your podcast, along with some good old Gucci Mane, Young Thug, and Chief Keef, keep me awake on my 3-hour drive. You guys keep me from falling asleep behind the wheel. Ha ha ha. We
save lives here.
We save lives here. When it comes to Pokemon, you guys give your honest opinion on what you think is the best, and giving the latest news along with some cool tidbits. Also, when you guys are talking about how no 2 Spindas are the same, I traded a clone for a shiny Spinda 5 times, and now I Wonder traded 4, so now there are 5 identical shiny Spindas. LOL. That was random, but thanks for a great show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get that there are annoying things. I listen to a ton of podcasts. We Can Confirm, DLC, a bunch of Kevin Smith shows, a bunch of other podcasts that are pretty irrelevant to Pokemon or anything gaming related. I listen to a ton of shows, and there's always somebody who annoys me on other shows, so I totally get where you're coming from. I think the person who's most annoying on It's Super Effective is Steve, but he's only on like 98% of the time, so.
And I think we all agree with that. Yeah. We're working to improve that.
I think so too. Travis?
Gosh, you have no idea how many times I've just hovered over the hang up call button on Skype because your voice is just so infuriating.
Oh my God.
But I do it out of pure altruism. I think if there's any case for an example of pure altruism, not by any other motivation, it's just that I continue to be part of the show, even though your voice is like nails on multitudes of chalkboards.
That's right. That's right.
Just kidding. I love you, Steve.
2 more reviews for you. 2 more reviews for you guys. And again, we appreciate the reviews. They actually they're really fun to read, and you guys are really awesome. And I think it's cool that Pokemon Podcast has such a cool fan base, and hopefully you guys now realize how cool the other fans that listen to the show are. So our next review is a PokeFan's Dream podcast by Hopeful Wanderer. I came across It's Super Effective in June of 2013 and started rejoicing. Finally, I found a decent Pokemon-related podcast that didn't fizzle out after 5 episodes. It's like it's true. Steve, Will, and Travis provide news and commentary on Pokemon TCG, VGC, and anime. They also occasionally throw in an occasional health tip, such as the evils of gluten. It was exciting to learn. It was exciting to learn that I wasn't the only person who enjoyed berry farming so much as Will. Keep up the great work, and thanks for all that you do. All right, last one is Awesome Podcast by Spirit Triss. I actually love this podcast. Granted, I only started listening to it, but it's so great. I love the fact that you guys not only talk about Pokemon, but also about vegetables. Also, what's wrong with the Quick Claw? P.S. Will's my favorite.
Do we tell the Quick Claw story again?
Yeah. Do you want to tell the Quick Claw story, Travis?
Gosh, I wasn't even there. This was the pre-Travis. I like to divide the history of It's Super Effective as pre, and I'm not going to say post because I'm still here, but pre and in the year of our Travis.
The year of Travis.
Yeah. So in the before Travis era,
BT
when it was
time.
just Steve. Yeah. When it was just, they're actually calling it BTE now to make it a little more secular. When it was just Steve and Aaron, I don't know if it was Steve or Aaron, but one of you recommended the addition of Quick Claw on a Pokemon that was pretty slow.
It was me.
It was Steve. He's gonna own up to it, because then it could move first sometimes. But here's the thing: Quick Claw is one of the worst items in the game. It's a tiny percent. It's got a tiny percent chance of making you go first, to the point where it's completely unreliable, and you're much better going off with something like a Choice Scarf, which is not only going to make you outspeed most Pokemon, but it's going to do so every turn. But anyway, someone left a scathing review.
A 1-star review.
A 1-star scathing review talking about how dare they even acknowledge the existence of the Quick Claw item. So that's always a good time.
It's always a good laugh. There was when we were all playing X and Y, like the week X and Y came out and Twitter was all about X and Y. I had people snapping pictures of them getting Quick Claw and X and Y and tweeting them at me. So good. So Gucci. That's all the reviews we have for you guys. That was a lot, so if that bored you, sorry. But for everyone who left a review, you are awesome, and hopefully you liked hearing your review of Making Fun of Will online. That was cool. Update on...
That wasn't even me.
Update on Twitch Plays Pokemon. They are still in Team Rocket Space, still on the spinning pads. It has been 5 days, 1 hour, 31 minutes.
They actually lost progress.
You know what's funny is they're actually getting through the game faster than I would.
It's amazing. We have our Pokemon of the week. This week's Pokemon of the week is Umbreon, which is the dark type Pokemon.
I do love that his Japanese name is Blackie, which I had an uncle whose name was Blackie, so
that's awesome.
That's quite wonderful.
Japanese name Blackie, the Moonlight Pokemon to be exact, but one of the very first Dark-type Pokemon ever showed. It was like the Sylveon of Gold and Silver.
Will, did you say that you had a pet named Blackie? Is that what you said?
I had an uncle named Blackie, thank you.
Okay, then. I'm glad I asked, because then I was going to ask you if it was named after the Twin Peaks character, and that would have gotten a little awkward.
No, my uncle was actually named after the horse that he took care of, as was my Uncle Pete.
Uncle Pete and Blackie.
Mm-hmm.
Umbreon evolves from Eevee when leveled up with high friendship during the night, or when around a moon shard. It is one of Eevee's final forms, the others being Vaporeon, Jolteon, Flareon, Espeon, Leafeon, Glaceon, Blazion, and Sylveon.
Blazion? Is that the 420 Pokemon?
I just slit one my ass.
Just slipped one in there. That's what I got for Umbreon. It is 87% male, 12.5% female, with a height of 3 feet 3 inches, 60 pounds.
Umbreon's pretty slick.
Travis can tell you why it's good in the video game.
Yeah, it's a very good defensive Pokemon. It's good as they usually refer to this specific niche as like a cleric, I think is the term, referring to like the archetype in like RPGs. But what Umbreon can do really well is, because it has good bulk in both defense and special defense, better in special defense, but it works either way. It can pass Wish to other Pokemon. It can use Heal Bell to heal up your team. It's generally a support Pokemon that's going to be a good pivot, something you can switch into and then save another Pokemon, or use Heal Bell and recover things, or because it has Stab on Foul Play, can be very good at taking out like a sweeper or something. It doesn't deal well with defensive Pokemon, given that Foul Play has its damage calculated based on the attack stat of your opponent, but those are sort of the 3 best moves you're probably going to be running on Umbreon, given its base stats and that sort of thing. Umbreon is also just sort of cool. It's one of the cooler EV evolutions, I think. You can also use a physically defensive one with Curse. That's always a popular one, like Curse and Payback. But Foul Play is just too cool, you know?
Will, do you have any TCG aspects for Umbreon? I don't think he or she is that popular in the...
Yeah, I would say don't use it.
Yeah. Good advice, good advice. By National Pokedex order, Umbreon is the first Dark-type Pokemon. Eevee cannot be evolved into Espeon or Umbreon in Fire Red or Leaf Green due to the lack of time in those games. And then this is just more trivia. In Pokemon Stadium 2, Pokemon Coliseum, and Pokemon XD, Umbreon glows between its regular and shiny colorations. According to the Diamond and Pearl Pokedex, Umbreon, Glaceon, and Leafeon have identical footprints. And despite appearing many times, no Umbreon in the anime has ever been seen using a Dark-type move.
I think the shiny Umbreon looks very pretty.
It is black and blue instead of black and gold.
And actually, I would say that people that cosplay as Umbreon are probably the least offensive cosplayers I've ever come across.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They're pretty chill?
Well, not in their attitude. I just meant in their actual costuming.
Oh, got it. Here's the question for you two. Espeon or Umbreon?
Espeon.
Ooh. I knew Travis was going to pick Espeon, but I'm more of a dark type, so I would pick Umbreon.
I would also pick Umbreon.
You're a brooding soul, Will.
I'm a dark type.
I always thought Umbreon was more of like the boy Eevee, and Espeon was also more the girl Eevee.
Well, thank you for perpetrating your heteronormative values. Just because Umbreon is black.
It was more of like
all dogs are boys and all cats are girls, right?
It was more of like a brother-sister thing. Like, I can't have Espeon because you had Espeon. Like, would you, Travis, did you play Red and Blue with your brother?
Yes.
Did you pick the same Pokemon as him?
Yes.
Oh my god, you just ruined my whole thing. I could never.
Because he is 6 years older than me, and so when I was a kid, he was the coolest person in the world. So if he was gonna pick Squirtle, I was gonna pick Squirtle. Because gosh darn it, like he knows everything. Because he's 6 years older than me.
And if he picked Mankey, you picked Mankey.
I was manking it up.
Oh,
So your brother's 27 now?
Yes, he's 27.
I could date him.
you could
I'll give him your number.
You could
Or I'll
mank it
give
up with
you-
Travis's brother.
Mank it up.
Mank City. Woo! I think that's a good way to end the show. Manky. By the time the show is up,
Hanky panky.
Oh, come on.
by the time this show is up, the Shorty Awards will probably be closed. But I want to thank everyone who took the time to nominate both at Pokemon Podcast and myself at Dragon Lake for a Shorty Award. And Travis, where can they find you?
Twitter.com/VTravisW. Oh, and it would also be cool if you want to add me on Hearthstone. That would be cool. I won't give you like my email I use to sign up because that's like my personal one. But if you want to surrender your emails, if you want to like send me a direct message on Twitter or something with the email that's linked to your Battle.net account, we can get some Hearthstoning going on. That would be cool. I'm not very good at the game, I'll warn you, but I would like more folks to play with, and I'm assuming there's some Pokestone overlaps.
I would imagine.
Add me, Travis, because I installed it. I just don't ever play it.
Oh, you guys are
it's
both
fun.
playing? I haven't played it yet
Yeah.
because I feel like it's just going to be like the new Pokemon TCG. Just suck me in.
Yeah, but this one, theoretically, you don't ever have to pay for.
That's right.
You can just keep being awesome and making
That's
gold.
And there's no Pokemon.
so it's even
And there's no pocket monsters.
it's even better. It's even better. Will, where can they find you?
Well, I've been pondering this and thinking it over, and my clout score has been seriously lagging of
Suffering.
late. And I know it's not because I have fewer Twitter followers than Travis, because everything I tweet gets favorited 100 times and retweeted 300 times. So I'm not necessarily worried about my Twitter value, but my Facebook, I only have like 8 Facebook friends. So anybody who wants to, this is going to be horrible, can go to facebook.com/StabinateDspeaker, and that D is for delicious, and try to friend me, and let's see if you can meet my criteria for being my Facebook friend. And then the more Facebook friends I have, the higher my clout score will go, right? So let's see how that works.
Allow me to get on my soapbox. Delete your clout thing.
No.
There is nothing that thing does. I'm speaking like phenomenologically here, like from my experience. It's awful. Like all it does is ruin your self-esteem. If it goes up, you don't care. You're just like, oh, whatever. I went up a point. Like it's still whatever. But if it goes down, your world is crushed.
Yeah.
Dude, you don't know how low my self-esteem is already.
It was one of the best decisions I made that year. There were not a lot of good decisions I made last year, but of all of them, deleting the cloud.
Maybe it's because your cloud score has never gone as high as 55.
I don't really remember. You know what, Will? I'm so beyond
Yeah, you're
like
so much better at
adjudication and like putting numbers on things. I don't even really remember what my cloud score was. You know, like I just live in the moment. What really makes a chair a chair?
So, you know what I have to say to that? Facebook.com/StabinateDspeaker. The D is for delicious. Steve.
You know what is worse than clout? Sorry, I was reading secrets. There's this app called Secret. To search it in the App Store, it's Secret Speak Freely. It's a white app with a little fox. But it reads your address book, both phone numbers and emails, because that's not personal or anything. And then it matches you with other people in your address book that has secret, and then you post secrets, and you don't know who posted these secrets, and you can comment secretly and post secretly, and it's kind of driving you crazy because you don't know who posted what, and if they're referring to you or they're not talking about you, or it's an interesting app. So if you like,
don't do it.
If you want to have worse self-esteem, download Secret. Speak freely. It's free, and it's at least good looking. It's a good looking app. So there you go.
It's well designed, even if all the people on it are morons.
And if you're worried about them getting your personal information, if one of your friends downloaded it, they already have your information because your friends would have uploaded your information in order to make the app work. So you shouldn't even worry about that.
Just throw your friends who don't have it under the bus.
Exactly. So you might as well just take more people with you. And actually, the developer is really cool and runs a pretty good Medium blog. But anyways, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so at Dragging a Lake. I will tell you secrets personally on Twitter. If you go there, you can follow the podcast on Twitter at Pokemon Podcast. You can like us on Facebook. You can go to our website. You can shoot us an email, Pokemon SBJ at pkmncast.com. And right now, the Twitch Plays Pokemon is still in Team Rocket's lair. Will they be there next week? You find out on the next episode of It's Super Effective. And like always,
they just use the Helix fossil.
The Helix fossil is the only true knower of this. Thank you, Travis.
Yeah, anytime.
Thank you, Will.
Thank you, Steve.
This has been another episode of the Pokemon Podcast, and we are
Super effective.
Super effective. Yeah.
Long live the Helix fossil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is this Bidoof thing that I missed?